Hey, Soraya, how's it going?
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Getting ready for Christmas, getting ready for the holidays. Very exciting. My favorite time of the year. But
Same.
I wanted to see if you could jot your memory a little bit.
Okay.
Going way back to an earlier episode of ours, episode number 75,
Okay.
which I'm guessing offhand you probably don't know what it is. But at that time, we decided to cover a few compilations. One record that was huge in my life was Radio Tokyo.
Yep.
Um, and we decided to go through, I think, three or four different compilations. And one of the compilations that we went through on
War Frat
episode
Tales.
75, The War Frat Tales. And we had a couple friends come on, Joey Milam and Howie Cohen, um, to help us talk about this record. We were talking about this record that has a few different artists that we've covered. Rain Parade, of course,
Yes.
Wednesday Week, The
Yep.
Last. And one band that came up during this discussion was a band on here called
The question.
The Question. So that's a little hint into what we're doing today, if not a full on outright introduction. But can you tell our listeners who we're talking about now that I've tried to jog your memory a couple of years back?
Well, I actually do remember it. But yes, joining us today will be members of the question, Phil Cusimano, David White, and Tony Rugolo.
Yay!
Um, but more importantly, not only did we talk about them back in episode 75 about being part of this compilation, War Fret Tales, but the band has released an EP with four songs and they're on streaming platforms now. There is an album being planned for 2026. So it's a band that is coming back to let us know about new things, not just old ones. And they've got some surprises out there for fans and for people who didn't know them. You're going to get to know them. And for people who knew them well, this will be a great new step in their future as a band. So, Jeff, I say let's get started.
Let's jump into it, Soraya.
Let's go.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff,
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, agruviar.
Let's get groovy.
Okay. There we go.
All right, Soraya, you want to get us started?
Yes. So for our listeners today, what a treat. We've got the members of the question. We've got Tony Rugolo, Phil Cusimano, and David White. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Thanks for having us.
We're very excited about your new anthology collection that
Thank
came
you.
out.
Yeah.
You have the first copy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Everything unreleased and multiple mono.
You can see the portraits we took
Yes,
for that
we did
behind us.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
It'll do very well. Okay.
But in all seriousness, Jeff, so you held up the Beatles anthology, but what the question have done for their fans and for those of us who love the LA scene, the LA mod scene, is they have given us this remixed, remastered EP, four songs. Shall Be Loved, One More Time, Don't Hide Your Heart Away, and Brave New World. And possibly some other things. So why don't we just jump into it? Sounds good?
Sounds
Sounds
good.
great.
Yeah, so Soraya, you mentioned those tracks, and two of them were on this compilation that we had talked about when we had Joy and Howie on. Our episode 75, we were talking about this compilation. And those, two of the songs on the EP were from this. But Soraya, you mentioned the names of the band members. It doesn't look like those names match up with what I'm seeing here. So you guys are gonna have to clue us in. What's going on with the band membership here?
That was just right before Phil came into the band. That we had at that time a member named Daniel Saltzman when we made that record, and then we decided that I was playing guitar then in the band, and Daniel played bass. But after seeing Phil and getting to know him, we wanted him so much to play guitar with us. And I went over to the bass. So Daniel, he was a great old friend of ours, and he just sort of stepped aside for that because he had other things going on too at the time. So we've been with Phil ever since 1985.
Yeah, we actually had a musical chairs of third members. Tony and I were always in the band, and we actually started with this guy Mark Conway, who lasted a little while, and then Daniel came along, and we for a while we had a guy named Nathan Roberts who was a bass player. Tony was actually playing guitar at that time, but all through those first couple of years, we saw this guy Phil Cusimano playing in his other bands, the Crosstops, and then his own band, the Patterns. And we kept Tony, every gig we went to, we kept thinking, we want to get that guy. How do we poach that guy? He's like the perfect guy. And finally, by 85, how did we get you into the band?
Well, Tony,
I think
actually
we pointed a gun at you.
No. He and I jammed when I was in the band, the Crosstops. We were just starting out.
Oh, right.
And I went over to Tony's house.
Right.
Marty Grimes, Clyde's brother.
Marty Grimes, skateboard legend.
Yes.
Yes.
He played the bass in the Crosstops.
Oh, wow.
And
Marty
so we got
Grimes.
together, and I think that's where the seeds.
And then Tony came to me and he goes, I just jammed with like the best guitarist for this band ever. And then we started seeing him. So
Yeah.
So this is the version we always wanted, but not the version on More Frat Tales.
Now, I have a quick question. Was it Ronnie who was it one of you that was a bass player of the Muffs? Is that
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
right, Ronnie?
That's me.
Speaking of the Untouchables, Clyde Grimes used to always talk about the Muffs and the early days of the On Club and all that stuff. And
We're not that old, Tony. We're not that old. We formed in 1990. Yeah.
But early days scene and everything, he used to love all the Muffs are so great and those guys are cool, and I hung out with him, and he loved it. Loved the band.
Nice.
Wanted to let you. He was
no. Thanks, Tony. I could listen to that kind of stuff all day. Thank you, Tony. So you guys kind of wanted? Did you guys give Daniel a little nudge then? In order to get Phil?
Honestly, Daniel, as Tony said, he was a good friend, and he was both a bass player and guitarist at varying times. He was a talented musician. He really was sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
He came back in later.
And he actually was in the band at one point and came back in again. And he just wasn't able to commit, and it worked out fine because ultimately we wanted Phil anyway. So It wasn't a nut. We never really did. We fire anyone ever? I don't think so.
Not yet. Who's more difficult, Daniel or Phil?
Let's not say we fired anybody, but we
killed someone.
Some decisions, personal things,
I'm not all these violent images. I don't know where they're coming from.
You're between two Sicilians.
Yeah.
There's a clip of you guys playing live from like '87, I think, and there's a fourth guitarist and a couple of horn.
Right.
We had like two guitars. Daniel came back and we had two guitars at one time. We had horns, you had keyboards and stuff. We tried to do it kind of that way. We did for a little while, which was fun because it is kind of nice to have a horn section and do all that. But ultimately, it just seemed kind of like the most real form of the question was the original sort of original version like that, influenced by the Jam and the Who, and it was more kind of to heart with us in a way of our real sound when we started and stuff. So we decided kind of, and I think people kind of wanted, the fans, friends and fans wanted it really back that way too, really, So not to say that we won't do horns again sometimes. I mean, because they're on some new recordings of stuff that we're putting out.
Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to that. But yeah, we do have recordings with horns and keyboards and other things.
The intent is really that we're doing these 4-song EPs over the course of the year, maybe shorter, and then compiling them all, hopefully, in a physical media such as vinyl.
Okay. Yeah, because the year's about to end, Phil. So
well, the fiscal year.
So we're looking at how many EPs before.
4.
Oh,
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And we have like something like 21 songs
Yeah.
recorded. And they start as early as those 4-track recordings with Vitas Metaray in his old Lyceum recording studio. The 4-track, very raw, but great, captured the sound at the time. Eventually 8-track. And then we moved on to 24. And so there's a lot of stuff that people never heard that'll be coming.
So we have our own anthologies.
Yeah.
But you were right.
Yeah. Okay, so it's career spanning. It's like early stuff and.
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
I know I'm sure you probably remember, and I know Jeff there probably remembers Vitas Maturay from the last.
Oh, yeah.
You guys remember because Jeff was showing Warfare Tales there. What a great band that was. And that little Lyceum sound studio was the last little rehearsal studio and recording studio. And we did it there. And Vitas was the organist,
Yes.
And he did all our stuff, because I was in the last when I was 17 playing bass. And so the question the connection with Vitas, Gary Stewart, and Rhino Records, and everything all really came bled into helped over into the question, from all those people. They really are the ones that got us really on record and out, and they were so nice and great about it. Poor Gary,
Yeah.
Wow. God bless him.
Yeah. No, Gary is great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you guys took a bit of a hiatus, right? So that's the original, the 80s is kind of the original kind of run of the question, right? And then you weren't around really in the 90s, correct?
We made a few sort of phantom appearances like here and there in the 90s.
Okay.
And then there was a chunk of time where we didn't play at all.
No, we didn't play.
15 years probably.
No,
I don't think it was 10 years.
Yeah.
And then we started playing gigs again. And
Yeah.
we started, and in our geriatric age, we started to really all the rough edges started smoothing out, and we were just enjoying being with each other and playing. And so it sort of developed momentum from that point. And that sort of led to the fact to our recognition that somewhere we have these 20 songs that were recorded. And that was a whole adventure too, tracking down those tapes. And we had the old story. We had to bake them to save them and then digitize them and all that stuff. But yeah, so we've sort of ramped up slowly since.
Unfortunately, we've lost a few boxes of old singles of.
Well, that's another. I had a bunch of 45
Palisades.
singles. I lived in the Palisades. My house burned down. So
yeah, we lost boxes of our original 45s that we were holding on to, but we were gonna eventually sell.
Yeah.
So they're going to be rare now.
Yeah.
Valuable.
Can't get them now. Yeah, but
record collectors out there.
No, we should mention that single. What year did that come out?
Well, there were two of them. The first one was called
Okay.
Distance Apart. They were each 3 songs. By the way, that's what we're trying to do. The releases are going to kind of mimic the releases we had in the 80s. The first one was called Distance Apart. That was what, like 83?
Yeah.
And then the next one was Getting Through, which is Phil's song. He sings on it, and that was 85. And so those were. So we had like 8 songs on vinyl by 1985, and it stopped there.
And then
Gotcha.
we kept going. We had those recordings, and we were doing a lot of stuff at that time. Tons of shows with so many different people everywhere. But it's interesting how you mentioned the time off and the 10 years, because all of us at the same time, like in the very beginning of the 90s, that's when we all had our kids. See, and so you figure that's about that 10-year period of taking them to elementary school, picking them up, doing everything, not going on the road, staying home at night, helping homework, doing everything. And then once you feel then they're on their way, then you can go back to, it's been
rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Just in time for your kids to laugh at you.
No. Unfortunately, people mark time by releases, right? Like in the Must, we had an album in 2004, and then the next one 2014, and people think we didn't do anything for 10 years.
Right,
not,
right, exactly.
you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
What's going on with the Muffs now? Are
Oh,
you still so you're still doing some things
no,
now?
well, Kim passed away
Oh,
6 years ago now. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You knew that, Tony.
From
I'm sorry.
ALS. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, at 56. So, but
yeah.
there's still things happening though, Tony. Thanks for that. We have an archival thing. I haven't announced it yet officially, but we got something coming out next year. So
Okay,
All right.
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe around the time the
Yeah.
question record comes out.
Yeah.
Everybody's dropping info now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to ask you guys. So I think it was at the beginning of this month of November of 2025 when I first saw that this EP was available for streaming on through via Bandcamp. So how did this come about? Like how did we get to this point where it's the material is available for streaming or starting to be? It sounds like the first of four
Right,
EPs
right.
How did we get here?
We started investigating the possibility of just putting out a record with any one of many labels that sort of specialize in re-releases and things of that nature. And but a friend of ours had this connection to this guy, Carl Caprolio, who owns Olio Records. And I actually had a lunch with him. And for some reason, I just got the sense that he would be like, even though that label is not that well known, they've done some stuff like they had 2020 for a while. They just released a Brian Wilson live record of, I think, at the Roxy.
Yeah.
Which is an official release with all of Brian's family's backing and all that stuff.
Which was a trip because David, before Brian Wilson passed, right before he passed, David texts me here and says, "Guess what? We're now on the same record label with your hero Brian Wilson."
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
My life, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear something like that, you know. And then poor Brian was gone, and I knew Brian not like best friends, but we knew each other, and we had a nice connection because my father was the
Yes.
arranger of the Four Freshmen, the vocal group in the 50s that Brian really
Was influenced by.
Absolutely.
really
Yeah.
got into, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had a nice, like a nice friendship, you know, and we would, you know, just run into each other, talk from time to time, or something. But what a nice man, you know. What a great.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So anyway,
connection there.
so we're on Olio Records, and we all decided that let's release things digitally. Let's kind of build up whatever sort of interest following we can muster. And we know there are a lot of fans out there who liked us back in the day. We're hoping we can get some new fans as well, and just sort of push forward. And we decided to kind of do a slow drip, you know, release an EP, kind of make it sort of chronologically sort of accurate in terms of how we release things initially. In fact, one of those songs, One More Time, was also done during that same recording session. And when I can't remember if it's the Wharf Rat CD or the Son of Wharf Rat, one of those, he released that on that as well. So we have 3 songs on that. And that was the thing. And then with the plan that as we release 4 songs at a time, maybe 5 once, maybe 3 here, we will then, when we're done, hopefully have some presence online on these streaming platforms. That's when we'll go for the physical product. I'm assuming vinyl, maybe CD as well. Do people listen to CDs anymore?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Ronnie and I.
Take a sip.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question, but
Especially on these kind of, especially these kind of things too. These kind of archival. I love.
Right.
It's funny watching producers getting interviewed by these vinyl guys, and the vinyl guys are like, "How's it sound to you?" And you can tell the producer engineers are always want to be like, "To be honest, CDs sound better, but
yeah, right.
Yeah. But no, Carl's a good guy. I know Carl, and he's in it.
Oh, you know Carl? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
He's in it for the right reasons. He's a music guy. He loves music.
That's the sense I got immediately.
Yeah.
And he's just, he seemed like the right guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that Brian package is beautiful. If anybody hasn't
I want to get
seen
that.
it, yeah, live at the Roxy 2000. Carl should send you
Wow.
one, Tony. I mean, you're on the label now.
Yeah.
I'll text him. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Ronnie's the connection. I like.
All right.
I got another
Yeah,
question.
Thank you, pal.
Oh, one
So-
quick question before we move away from
Yeah.
the Vetus discussion. So I was in a band in the 80s called White Glove Test, and Vetus recorded our second album, Leap, at Lyceum. I know there was multiple Lyceum
Really?
studios. Was this the studio that was the pool house, or did you guys record in the other studio? The
Oh,
first.
no.
We
this
did
was-
both. We did
Okay.
both
we did
actually.
both. We
The
did
first, the 4 tracks was at the earliest one that was on that house on Lyceum itself. That's
Okay.
why he named it Lyceum Street.
And the other one was on
It was
off
across-
Venice Boulevard.
No, it was on Venice Boulevard. It was across from Penmark Park. That was the one with the pool house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that's where Getting Through was recorded.
Yeah, that's where we.
It was actually the studio was being built at that time.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have his speakers yet.
Yeah.
He mastered all that. He mixed all that on headphones.
Wow.
'Cause I remember we went to.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I
Wow.
remember
That was
because
a,
we went
that's
to.
a great studio. I wonder if he still has that.
That was one was like a garage, literally a garage where you had recording equipment, and then that other one, probably where you recorded your record, was a a dedicated
Yeah,
studio.
dedicated.
He poured concrete and everything.
Yeah.
Vetus was like a genius on multiple levels, including he's this like high level architect now. I don't understand the guy. He, like his day job was like working as a rocket scientist, like at TRW or something back in those days, and and now he's like this mid-century modern architect in Malibu, like.
Oh, Vetus, when I was in the last, I was 17, right before the question. And Vetus, I remember he was at that time, he would pick me up for rehearsal and stuff, and we would talk in the car. And he was a full-on mathematician.
Oh yeah.
Like a professor. I mean, degrees, everything. Engineer.
Well,
Yeah.
I think his
He
father.
was an engineer.
His father created like something like AM radio or something like that. I know you can Google his father's name.
Yeah. Wow.
And they had a beautiful house in
Yeah.
Brentwood.
I didn't know that.
Venus's house. Oh my gosh, I'd go over there and it was a really almost like a Frank Lloyd Wright kind of
Yeah.
house that Venus loved.
Well, he builds those
he
houses
loves
now.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then with that second studio, because that's when I was more involved with the band at that point, that was mastered over at K-Disc, I believe, by John Golden. So,
Oh, yeah.
and he's great mastering engineer. So and I know he's still doing it, but he's doing it out in Ventura at this point. So maybe we'll get it cut there.
Yeah. So during the 80s, were you guys playing with the Cavern Club? Were you playing with those bands sometimes?
Yeah, like sometimes we would do some shows with like the Crawdaddies and
Telltale Hearts.
then Telltale Hearts,
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I loved it when we had a chance to go over into that scene a bit. Because, there was I was all part of the mod scene.
Yeah.
It wasn't
It was sort of
it wasn't
adjacent.
the ska soul kind of size like the On Club was. It was, but I think there was it tapped into all that stuff. It was great too.
Yeah.
All that. The Telltale Hearts were like they had the Farfisa organ and they were doing like the Count 5 kind of thing. And like, it was very cool. I liked it. Crawdaddies were my favorite.
Yeah. No, it seems like you would fit. I would imagine.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that crossover. I mean, we all like the Who, and
The
Yardbirds, that style. So
Fisher actually played keyboards for us one gig. Remember
Yeah,
that?
he did. He
Yeah.
played keyboards and Jack. I don't know if Jack ever did anything with us, but I had a little soul band with Jack for a little while.
Yeah, we knew all those guys. The scene, the mod scene was kind of its own thing, but it wasn't as strict in its parameter. Like we would interact with a lot of people. There was a kind of a dedication to garage 60s psychedelic mod. There was a lot of crossover.
What were the other Southern California mod bands of the time?
Well, I like Sidewalk Society
Yeah, they were great. They were our
and
friends.
and
The Jets from Orange County.
Jaywalkers.
The
The Jaywalkers were
Jaywalkers.
like an R&B band, and they were great.
There was also, gosh, I'm thinking,
Well, Manual Scan
well, the Untouchables.
probably identifies themselves as like the original mod band from Southern California. They're from San Diego.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember if we ever played with them or not.
No, we did.
I think there was a kind of unspoken friendly rivalry with them back in the day.
I don't know. You know what? I like. Of course, we love the Untouchables.
Yeah, I think Untouchables was sort of.
We did a lot of shows with bands like Fishbone and a lot of other things.
The Patterns.
It's funny that
Bill's band was. They were known. Yeah, they were.
We had bills together.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Chardon Square.
Chardon Square, that's another band. Phil and I actually filled in for them one of my personal 15 minutes of fame was playing. Phil and I filled in for Chardon Square for 2 gigs opening for the Ramones, one of which was at the Whiskey, and I think it was unannounced. So that was like pretty cool.
That was cool.
You know, as wild as that, I see some old flyers recently, and I saw one that said a few that have had. It's funny, No Doubt became this big thing, and they were an opening band for us a few times that I remember. And we all knew Gwen when she was a little girl.
Yeah, but they weren't really considered mod.
Well, they were part of.
They were a little, they were a little ska.
Yeah.
But the
3 o'clock, but the 3 o'clock weren't considered mod.
Michael Garcia, Salvation Army. Yeah,
Michael's
great.
a mod.
I love Michael.
Yeah. No, they're a great band. I just don't know if they were considered mod. I think they sort of.
They had the thing.
There were some bands from the Targets. Do you remember?
The Targets.
They were Nikki, I think her name was. She was girl played trumpet, or the Mod Beats.
Oh yeah.
And Claremont or something. They were from.
Yeah.
There were some bands from some of those areas like that.
Right. The Key. The Key was a band. Those are young guys.
Young guys.
I said the Jets already. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We had an interview in the mid '80s in LA Weekly, and I said something that came back at us in a negative way because I was considered to have insulted the mod scene, which we were a proud part of. But I think there was a part of us that always considered ourselves like just a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And whenever you get overly defined with scenes, you can sort of paint yourself into a corner. So I never meant to insult our own friends and fans, which I did. I just smoothed it over time. But there's always been a little bit of a double-edged sword because I think we are a mod band and we're sort of proudly so, and we love those influences. But we're proudly a rock and roll band too.
Yeah, because if you think about it, is the fact that, of course, loving to be mod band, but our first couple gigs we ever did when we had Wade first guitar player Mark Conway, we were doing stuff like Little Richard, Lucille, all these things like that. We were rock and roll.
We did. And we still do that sometimes. Yeah.
That's like So it's
Yeah.
No, you don't want to be boxed in.
Yeah,
you don't want to be boxed in by that label. Like the cavern bands. What are they going to do? They're either going to go heavy metal at a certain point. You get past 1966, and what are you going to do?
Blue Cheer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like someone heavy metal, Miracle Workers and stuff.
Actually, Ethan James was a guy who mixed our
Ethan James was involved with
our first single.
Yeah, that's
Radio Tokyo, I think it was.
Yeah, Radio Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah, and Blue Cheer, he was with Blue Cheer.
Right.
And I remember
connection.
I remember hearing they were the loudest band in the world.
They are.
Anyway, yeah.
Nice.
So, how you pronounce it? Soraya?
Soraya.
Yeah, you haven't talked at all through the same.
I'm right now.
Why don't you tell us something?
My brothers over here, we all share brains, so if I'm wrong, they're coming out with it.
Yeah.
But thank you, Tony, because you've given me the space to ask this question. First of all, I want to know when I'm going to hear Easy.
Oh, well,
Then I can say, I think the next release, the next EP.
All right. I'm looking
I'm
forward.
glad you like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I find really interesting, and I want to thank you for taking us through the history of the band, is the band continued to be called on and looked at it through compilations. So, I wrote down just a few. One in, I mean, obviously War Rat Tales, but then another one in 1997. This is Mod Volume 6, the United States of Mod. And then in the 2000s, again, so the band's been, touching base 80s, 90s, and then in the 2000s. So
Yeah.
you giving us these unreleased, newly mixed,
Yeah.
remastered is really beautiful. My other question was new material. Yes, no?
Yeah, I'm gonna just get started with
Yeah.
some new stuff.
We do have some new material. Phil has several songs that we've practiced, a couple that we played.
Yeah.
We also have songs that Tony wrote way back in the day that we never played, that we've sort of tinkered with a little bit. And frankly, some of the songs that we've recorded that are going to come out are songs that we almost never play, so they will almost sound like new songs. They will function as new songs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for our listeners who want to find you, we know that you have a presence on Facebook, on Instagram, and Bandcamp. And now, thanks to this EP, you're found on a lot of streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Where should our listeners go to get this EP?
So you're talking to a Luddite, but
Okay.
who doesn't know what he's really talking about. I would love to just gauge where we're. I know it's the evil empire, but for some reason Spotify seems to quantify how many people are following you and listening. So it would just be a good way to gauge.
Okay.
We're also on Apple and Amazon. So any of those.
Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp as well.
Is the best because funds go directly.
Yeah, if you want to throw us a buck or two or buy us a cup, that's always fine.
Merch will be on there.
Yeah, our merch is on there. We're not. We are expecting to get very, very rich from this.
Perfect.
Just like that other band that has that anthology.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. The other day, on Bill Maher show, he did in his monologue, he said, talking about the pennies being gone and how, and he says something about I forgot the joke, but it was something about now bands can't get, something
won't get
about
paid
the
on
penny,
stuff.
something about, yeah.
They can't get
It's
their
not the sense,
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is these days, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
however people listen is good, I think.
I mean,
So-
obviously, I'm joking. We're doing this for our legacy and because we love this band and love the music, and we want as many people to hear it as possible.
Yeah.
No,
that's good.
When I saw the band before I joined them, I was at the On Club, and I remember there were other bands. I'd go see the Untouchables, obviously, Aberrant 4, the Crosstops, which I eventually joined. But I saw these guys play, and it was like, this band's really standing out above all the other bands. I mean, at least these two for sure, and as well as Daniel and such. Yeah,
Thank you.
I was always just like mind blown. And so eventually, when they asked me to play, well, the first time you asked me, I couldn't because I was in another band.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like loyal. But then when it opened up finally, I was glad to be in, and then that's why I was really happy to play. And so I've been in this band the whole time. So
I know. I came for the first rehearsal over to David's house.
Was that yeah.
And in the living room, we set up in there.
Really?
And I had the 45s and the LP. I don't know. I had the songs.
But the thing was,
and I had to figure them all out.
Yeah.
But we ended up. The first rehearsal was just like we played old set.
I know. I remember.
It was like perfect.
I remember feeling like this is the sound we've been waiting for. This is how we should have always been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like a super group when Phil joins.
Kind of. Yeah. Like we finally got Eric Clapton.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have one last question, and that is question to the question.
One last question. I see what you did.
Get that?
We'll give you the answer.
We want to know, possibly live shows 2026.
Yeah, we like each other.
Yeah. We still, I mean, we're still sort of active.
We
It's
Okay.
been a little bit of time though since we last played, but we
did
do
some
come out.
last year.
Okay.
I think what we're gonna want to do that Joy is looking into already is some sort of official release party. Like maybe when
Yeah.
we're done with all that and like try to get kind of a big gig and
Awesome.
hopefully get some other great bands involved as well. But yeah, we're always looking for the right opportunity, and I think we want to do gigs that are meaningful and for people who really want to see us.
We did last year, you know, a few. We did like a tribute show that we put on for Jerry Miller.
For Jerry Miller,
The
yeah,
Untouchables.
Untouchables who passed away. Yeah,
We did.
that was fun. That was a great show.
And some other musicians that used to play with him, his old horn players, and people played with us, and it was really good. And we did some other shows in the last couple of years too.
So I mean, we're still
Yeah.
active in a sense. So.
Yeah. And we'll see too, maybe the music, you know, it's like the music might dictate the demand.
Yeah.
Or not. We'll see.
And I'd say we're in pretty good shape for our early 60s.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
I think we're able to do it a while longer.
Above ground.
No, look at that. Hey, look at Phil's hair. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
are in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
We are in the 60s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, a byproduct of getting older are these gigs where you have to play in memoriam of friends,
Right.
you know.
Right.
No,
We've done a few of those now, and
it seems like lately so many
Yeah.
people are just going, you
Yeah.
know, and it, boy, I tell you, it makes you.
it's almost like it happens every day.
It's unbelievable, you know. So anyway, on a lighter note,
Yeah.
So we'd much rather go see a show commemorating a new release rather than commemorating.
Yes.
Yeah,
commemorating
yeah,
a lot.
yeah. I
Absolutely.
like the way you think.
Yeah, good. I
So
like
let's
that.
make that happen. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
good.
The music is timeless, so it
Absolutely.
translates to now. I watched Phil play a solo version of Getting Through at the Punk Rock Museum. Went over great.
Really?
Oh, that's
Wow,
cool.
no
Yeah.
way. I didn't know about
Yeah,
that.
I remember you told. That's awesome.
What are you moonlighting?
Yeah. So that's a great thing about a band like you guys. So you're not locked in time. You're not locked in you don't sound 80s or whatever, you know.
No.
Good
Oh,
songs are
Thank
good
you.
songs.
I appreciate that. That is part of what we hope.
Yeah, not
I
the production's not. Yeah.
17-year-old daughter, 19-year-old son, and they actually really like our music, and they like a lot of what's happening now as well. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that might be a little biased, but the hope is that show it to a new generation as well.
You know,
Yeah.
it's because I can't tell you how many like people used to come up and say like, you know, I don't know if the young people realize this, but you guys were the first Green Day.
Oh,
A lot of people say you guys were Green Day before.
I've never heard that.
Before Green Day, you guys were the first Green Day. Like we should have been actually where they are now, is what they're telling me.
Hey, you know
Right?
what?
You know, yeah.
It's all chance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Timing,
Yeah.
chance, luck, right
Yeah.
song, right place. Yeah.
I'm happy to be thought of in the pantheon of great three-piece bands from California,
Yeah, right.
wherever we fall.
Yeah.
Perfect.
well, we got less than a minute before we lose our Zoom session, but we wanted to thank you three for getting together with us and bringing us up to date. And please let us know if you have any shows or any new
Please,
information.
yeah.
We will for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
And thank you so much for having us. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yep. And look forward to the EPs and the eventual maybe release.
I got a spot right here.
Party.
I got a spot for the question right here. So
I love it. I
Yep.
love it. Thank you.
See,
all right,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
once again, all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
We'll
Better
talk.
than Green Day, folks. The question. Better than Green Day.
The original Green Day.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
And you can tell them I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Soraya, what did you think about those three?
Okay, first of all, let's just start out with the quote. We're mod, but we're also proudly a rock and roll band. And I think anyone who listens to the tracks, yes, they're a mod band, but Ronnie, I think you said it best, that the music is timeless and it's not it doesn't fit in that little compartment of, you know, mod songs by mod bands. They are the songs really have a lot of reach. And so I thought it was interesting that David said that. And it
Yeah,
caught my eye.
yeah, because I mean, it's yes, you have mod roots or whatever, but at a certain point, the Who wasn't a mod band after their first album. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like even the Jam, like they weren't a mod band 3 albums in and stuff. So it's you don't want to pigeonhole yourself like that. And that's why I had to ask about the other bands because I don't know. Every now and then you hear about there was an Orange County mod scene or whatever, but like
Mhm.
all those bands, I'd only heard of one of those bands besides the Untouchables. The Jets, and I only know them because they had an archival release, kind
Right.
of like The Question might eventually have. That's the only reason I know that Jets. There's Jets from England that's famous, but so I don't know. I guess there was a little mod scene in the '80s. I didn't live, as you know, I didn't live in Southern California in the '80s, but like I don't know how big was the mod scene? How many kids were on scooters and that kind of thing?
I
I
mean, I
mean,
think it's significant and because you
yeah,
saw the contact with the Paisley scene because 3 o'clock shows would bring mod kids and
right.
so you saw it. I mean,
But
the
you
contact was
got to
there.
cross over though. Like even the mod scene in the late '70s, there's only like 4 bands you hear about.
Right.
The Secret Affair and Purple Hearts, and
There you go.
and the quality goes down as we talk about Squire. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So you know, it's good that they think that way. And you know, I did notice in that clip I talked about from '87, they're wearing suits and ties, which I don't know if they still do that. Um,
I don't
but
know. We'd have to go to the tape.
yeah, but yeah, it's good. And I think it's cool they're releasing all this stuff. Um, finally, because there's been rumblings about them releasing an archival
Yeah.
project for a while, amongst the circles we are in. Um, and yeah, it's great. They found a home, and yeah, I think these EPs are going to be cool, and I think it's eventually going to pay off on Jeff's shelf behind him there.
There you go.
Yeah,
I really like that idea of doing these kind of four track releases over a little bit of time because and especially remastered, remixed.
yeah,
I think it's perfect. And then, building into what, they said was an anthology project. I'm in for it. And then some songs that have never been recorded, new material. I'm here for all of it.
yeah, yeah. And
Let's go.
hopefully it's not too much time between. Get these EPs out like one every 2 months or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, right. And then boom.
Oh my God. And what a badass label to be on, Oleo Records, where Brian Wilson's on it.
Yeah, it's a re-release of a record that they put out
Yeah.
live at the Roxy in the year 2000, which was early on in Brian's comeback. And listening to it again, Brian, it's great because Brian's very talky. He's very
Oh,
chatty. And
wow.
as time went on, he wasn't. He was a
Yeah.
little chatty, but it kind of
Mhm.
Decline.
it declined, especially at the end. But yeah, he's very funny and chatty, and yeah, it's got a new cover. It's on 3 LP vinyl, and the CD has bonus tracks, and yeah, it's cool. Carl's a cool guy, and Oleo actually was the parent company who put out the Muffs Really Really Happy in '04.
Oh, great.
Oh,
So it was on 5'2" Records, which was Anna Warnker and Charlotte Caffey's label,
Mhm.
but it's distributed by Oleo. So
oh,
that's why I go back with Carl and everything.
Got
And
it.
so there's
yeah,
a connection.
there's a connection. And
Oh,
Oleo actually still owned the streaming until we were reissuing it, and we had to ask him for the rights back, and Carl graciously, he knew Cheryl at Omnivore and everything. And Carl didn't cause a stink. He's like, okay, so he's a very good guy. He lives in
oh,
Vegas now too, Jeff. So
oh, really?
too bad I didn't have you look him up.
Ah, that would have been cool. So he didn't pull off the Universal issue that we heard from Steve Wynn last week about refusing to give up the music for Dream Syndicate and many other bands. So
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's a whole
Universal is
thing.
notorious for that. So they just don't. I don't think they like to deal with just anything they don't deem a huge project. So I know in the past, labels I'm friends with have tried to license stuff, and they just give them an outrageous upfront. We need this amount of money to even talk about it, and it's not worth doing with the amount of the amount of copies that things sell for that kind of project now. So
I'm glad that Carl is not like that. So it sounds like
yeah,
he sounds like a good guy.
I was worried, but again, I don't know. I don't remember. We must have signed something. I don't remember though. I think because I don't know if we did sign anything. It might have been a handshake agreement because that was a deal with Charlotte and Anna. They wanted their label to be artist friendly and not rip people off, and because they were artists, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So, that label only got as far as releasing Anna's solo record, our record, Neurotica, Red Cross reissue, and Steve McDonald Band EP. I think that's all they ended up doing. But yeah.
Very cool still.
So yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, a great home for the question. I'm glad they found that, and yeah, it's gonna be great. Good for them.
Again, for listeners, you can go to they have a Bandcamp page. That's where you can order this EP, which is available digital format, but also you can find it on a number of streaming services. And I think this is just merely the beginning, or like a new beginning for the question. And like Ronnie said, this music is timeless, worth a listen, and worth having in your collection. And Jeff, I don't know where the Q is, or if you file it by T for
No,
but save the spot.
Yeah.
And Ronnie and I are always in on CD releases, so
Yeah.
we're ready for it. But I think
maybe both on this one. Sometimes I go both, and you too, Soraya.
okay, yes, I do. I admit it.
Yeah.
And then also people can find the band on Facebook, on Instagram. They're active, and like David, Tony, and Phil said, they're playing, and so we'll find information there. But I think this is a great step forward for them, and a great reintroduction to the question.
There's no question. Soraya, there's no. Sorry.
That's where we end it. That's where we leave it, folks. Mi gente agruviar.
Groove on, Paisley people.
That's what I'm talking about.